Welcome to VIP. Today we're going to talk about QLXD. Hey, that rhymes. In this video, we're going to cover the Shure QLXD wireless system, along with some basic troubleshooting tips. We send these systems out pre-configured to make it as simple as possible. But in the off chance you run into a few problems, we wanted to give you some extra troubleshooting tips to make it as easy as possible to get back online quickly. First, let's cover some of the basic components. You got your choice of transmitters. There's a handheld transmitter, which has the Shure Beta 58 capsule on it, which is the widest accepted capsule. The microphone clip, in case you want to attach it to a mic stand. The Bodypack Transmitter, along with a WL93 lavalier microphone to plug into it. And we always give you extra batteries, so you don't run out. This is the receiver, which takes the transmitter signal and converts it into an analog signal to plug it into the system that you're running it through. And these are the antennas that connect to the receiver. Also, you'll need an XLR cable or a mic line to plug it into the system that you're using. So now let's look at how to put it all together and make it work. We're going to start with the transmitter. This one is the Bodypack Transmitter, not to be confused with the Handheld Transmitter. You can only use one at a time. So you got to decide which one you're going to use. One transmitter to one receiver. That's how the system works. First thing you got to do is put batteries in it. So you'll notice that there are springs and there's a flat part of the battery. Make sure you get them in the right way. The negative goes toward the spring. The little nub goes toward the positive. Then you can plug your lavalier microphone into it. Make sure you line the pins up. These are a little bit delicate, so you want to make sure you get them correct, and then it will just slide into place and lock. When you need to unplug it, there's a button on the top. You just push the button and then it'll pull out. It's a little difficult to do, so just pull firmly. The power button is on the top. You can switch it on and off there. And then in this little canister, you've got a windscreen. So if it's windy outside, you're picking up a lot of noise, you put the windscreen on it. There's also a clip so that you can clip it onto whoever is doing the speaking, just like I have here. We're going to set that aside for a minute though, and we're going to talk about the handheld transmitter. The handheld transmitter, to put the batteries in, you unscrew the bottom half of the compartment like that. It comes right off. And then you just pull gently on the gate to open it up. Same kind of thing here. There are springs. The negative, the smooth part, goes toward the springs. The positive part clips in where the metal is, so it makes good contact. And you want to make sure that the batteries are nice and parallel with each other before you close the gate and screw the bottom part back on. Before you turn it on, let's put the receiver together. The receiver has two antennas, and they go onto these BNC connectors on the back. You'll notice that they got to line up perfectly. They slide on, and then they rotate and lock into place. You need both antennas to make a diversity system. So a diversity system just means that the receiver will look at both signals that it's getting from both antennas, and it'll pick the best one and very seamlessly and quietly switch between the two based on which one is good. These antennas also bend and rotate. The idea here is to have them 90 degrees from each other because wireless signals are polar. So as you turn the transmitter, the signal will change in its polarity. So having the two antennas 90 degrees from each other mean that no matter which direction you rotate this during the performance or during the speaking engagement, you will get a good signal. The other thing you need to do on the back side of this is you need to plug in your signal cable so that you can get the signal into the system for amplification or recording. You'll notice next to that, there's also a mic line switch. If you're going into a mixing console, generally you'll use the mic switch. If you're going into an amplifier or a system that says line input, then you need to switch that to line. We're going into the camera, which is a line input. Now we're ready to turn the system on. Power switch, just press it, and the system will boot up. It's like a computer, it takes a little time to boot up. Just wait for it to get there. These systems come pre-configured with a frequency that works great in our shop, but it may not work in the environment you're in based on whatever else is around you. So you may have to scan for a new signal. It's actually a really good idea to scan for a new signal every time you start this up and you're in a new environment. The way to do that is you press the menu button. The menu button will show that it's ready to scan. and then you press the enter button to make it scan. Once it finds an open signal, then you turn on your transmitter. You'll notice there's a little red window there. That's the IR window. It matches up with a little red window right there, right above the sync button. Press the sync button, and then hold your transmitter a couple of inches away, and as soon as the receiver says it's good, you're good. You're good to go. If you do need more or less volume in your system, there is a volume increase and a volume decrease here. You can here's a signal coming through the microphone. If I wanted to increase that signal, I would just hit the up arrow in order to give you more. If I was distorting the signal, I would hit the down arrow in order to reduce the volume. Let's cover a few basic troubleshooting techniques. The easiest way to make sure that you get good sound out of a lavalier microphone is to put it in the right spot to begin with. So if you look at the capsule, you'll see that right inside there is a little gray circle. That's actually where the sound goes into the microphone. So you want to take your mic clip and to clip it onto the cable so that that faces outward, away from the clothing. Easiest way I found to find good placement for your microphone is to drop your chin to your chest, point to where your chin hits, and then clip the microphone right there. If you get it too far under, you're going to get a muffled effect, and if you get it too far away, you're not going to get very much sound, and it's going to sound kind of tinny. For a handheld wireless microphone, it's the same kind of thing. You want to get the microphone consistently a couple of inches away from the mouth. If you do the belly button effect, it's going to sound really thin, and you're not going to get enough sound out of it. If you get right on the microphone and swallow it, you're going to get probably too much sound and a lot of wind noise. Then there's the DJ wrapper effect, where you put your hand around the mic capsule and you get a really nasty sound. Some other things you might run into with wireless microphones, especially with a lavalier with a cable. We try to take really good care of these and make sure that you don't go out with damaged equipment, but they get used by a lot of people and sometimes they get abused. If you hear crackling in the sound that comes out of this microphone, try shaking the cable a little bit, especially right here where it enters the pack, or right here where it enters the microphone capsule. If the crackling gets stronger, or the signal disappears altogether, or it clears up, you have an unreliable cable. Something else that might happen is volume changes. If you get a really strong signal that distorts, it means that either you need to move the mic capsule further away from the sound source, both with the lavalier and with a handheld microphone, or you need to turn it down. So on the front here, you can see the up-down arrows. We've talked about those before. Just turn the volume down. You can also watch on the screen and see if you hit the overload. If you get a really loud signal, it'll overload and it'll distort. You'll see it on the screen, so you'll know that you need to make that change. If you have no signal, or you have a very weak signal, you might need to move the capsule closer to the sound source, or in this case, move it closer to the sound source here, or turn it up. You can also use the up arrow to increase that sound. If you're still not getting enough, you might need a line level output. So remember, there's a switch on the back here that switches between mic and line. Switch that into the line position to see if you get better signal that way. The other thing you might see is dropout. So remember, you can't have both transmitters on at the same time. One connection to one of a transmitter to a receiver is all you get. And if you have both on at the same time, then they're going to be fighting for signal, and one's going to be dropping out while the other one connects. The other thing to look for is to make sure your antennas are oriented properly. Remember, you want that 90-degree display between the two of them. And you can also watch right here on the front. If you don't see that blue light, then that means that you're not getting a good connection with the digital transmitter, and the signal will drop out. If all else fails, just go back to what we talked about before. Scan for a new frequency, synchronize it with your transmitter, and that should take care of the issue when you find an open frequency. The last one we want to talk about is sometimes you get wind noise. Wind is a killer of sound, and if you get wind noise, grab your little foamy out of the plastic container and just insert the mic capsule into the foamy, and that should take care of the wind noise. Hopefully that covers everything. Thanks for watching our video about QLXD wireless. I hope you learned something good. If you like what you see, please give us a thumbs up. If you have a question or you just want to leave a comment, please feel free to do so. And if you want to learn more good stuff about audio, please subscribe.